Welcome aboard a vessel that's full of history and severe paranormal activity. Hello, I'm Isla Vlasov. Today I brought Most Haunted Australia to Williamstown in Victoria and to a ship that is full of tales of paranormal existence. How true are all these stories? We have 24 hours to unlock the secrets of HMAS Castlemaine. This location may be smaller than others we have previously investigated, but it's certainly no less important. Built in 1941, HMAS Castlemaine was one of 60 minesweepers built in Australian shipyards as part of the Commonwealth Government's wartime shipbuilding program. The ship was capable of carrying 300 troops in an emergency, 400 troops shipped to shore, or 100 troops over a period of 4 days. Following commissioning at Melbourne, HMAS Castlemaine proceeded to Sydney, where she began operational service escorting convoys between Sydney and Melbourne. After departing Sydney, she was ordered to temporarily escort convoys between Townsville and Port Moresby. She was then ordered to continue escorting vessels from Darwin to Cape Wessel and then to the waters of Timor. HMAS Castlemaine survived 5 air attacks, and in 1943 she returned to Sydney after an absence of 327 days and almost unbroken seagoing service. On 16th of November 1945, HMAS Castlemaine arrived back in Melbourne, having steamed 117,000 miles and 13,000 hours underway on war service.
Well, Castlemaine is the last survivor of 60 identical corvettes built for the Royal Australian Navy during World War II, and she was built here at Williamstown. The keel was laid in 1941. They launched the ship in August of that year, and the following year, 1942, they commissioned the ship. And she served on the Australian coast initially, running between Melbourne and Sydney, Sydney and Brisbane, Brisbane and Darwin. These were very difficult times for Australia. We were being attacked. Japanese submarines had come into Sydney Harbour, and Darwin had been bombed, and Castlemaine's job was to escort merchant ships and run between Melbourne and Sydney, Sydney and Brisbane, Brisbane and Darwin. And during the rest of World War II, she served around New Guinea, Torres Strait, the Western Pacific, and when the war was finally over in 1945, she was near New Guinea, and she then proceeded to Manila in the Philippines and then up to Hong Kong, and she was involved with minesweeping in Hong Kong Harbour, and then came back to Melbourne via Western Australia, and she decommissioned the week before Christmas 1945. This was a great period for joy in Australia because the war was over, the crew could go home to their families, and the Castlemaine during 1946 was laid up, de-stored, and she didn't do much more after that because the war was finalised, and over 1 million visitors have come on board Castlemaine to look at history as it was made during 1942 and is still being made today.
This is a very exciting location for the team. It's the first time we're investigating a ship, and we're here for 24 hours. I'm standing now on the upper deck of HMAS Castlemaine, on the very spot where many troops and commanders would have stood. Just to be standing here is enough, but the fact that it's also reportedly haunted, well, that just makes it more exciting. I've no doubt we're in for an unforgettable night, a truly amazing and unique experience for the team and for everyone watching.
Ghostly footsteps are often heard throughout the whole ship. Many people believe they could belong to a young man who fell overboard and drowned. But did he fall or did he jump?
A figure of a man's been seen in one of the cabins. It's believed to be that of one of the commanding officers. There's also been a figure seen in the boiler room, which is believed to be one of a young man who had been injured and in turn died because of his injuries. So we're up for a pretty scary night ahead.
Many dark shadows have been witnessed moving here in the lower decks, as well as knocks and tapping on walls and pipes. But perhaps more alarming is the ghost of a young sailor who is so vivid that people stop and talk to him.
far as we know, during its service, this ship survived at least 5 air attacks. Unfortunately, not enough information exists to indicate exactly how many men died during those attacks, but one thing is very clear. Everyone on board would have been absolutely terrified. It would have been total chaos on the upper decks.
Many people feel uncomfortable in the main mess area. They sense that somebody is watching them when there is no one here, but it's the heavy booted footsteps and the dark, shapeless figures that seem to scare people the most.